are getting wild on today's show as we are going over 4 wild blockbuster draft day trade ideas for your Minnesota Vikings. Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Patrick Seatman. And before we dive into my 4 trade ideas, I just want to say thank you so much to the real ones here who have been tuning in all off season long and really just helping and supporting the show. I really do appreciate it. We're closing in on 24,000 subscribers right now. By the time you're seeing this video, we're probably less than 200 away. I would love to hit this weekend. So if you guys haven't already, hit that sub button. Join this family we have here at Vikings Now. And just shout out to you guys for all the support you guys have been showing. It's been freaking awesome. But let's dive into it. So the Vikings draft picks as it stands right now. They obviously do have pick 11 and they do have pick 23, but they're kind of loaded in the back half of this draft. They do have 2 fourth-rounders they can give up because they got one in return in that T.J. Hawkinson trade. They got 2 fifth-rounders because they got one from the Kansas City Chiefs. They also have a 6th-round pick from the Carolina Panthers, and they also still have their own 7th-round pick. So the Vikings definitely have a ton of ammunition to work with. No 2nd-round pick last year, but all those other picks are available as well. And the first trade we're diving into, this is the all-in move. This is the Drake Maye trade. If this trade goes down, the Vikings will be fully committed to drafting the North Carolina quarterback, but you would be giving up picks number 11 and 23 and a 5th-rounder. And then on top of that, you're going to need to give them a first-round pick for 2025 and a 3rd-round pick that you will get a comp pick for KJ Osborne leaving, so it wouldn't really hurt them too bad. And I know what you might be saying, that is way too much to give up for a quarterback. Guys, if you really want Drake Maye, and all reports have indicated that the Vikings want the North Carolina quarterback, you are going to need to submit an offer to the Washington Commanders that makes them question their kind of love for a quarterback at number 2. You're not just going to need to pay the QB tax. You're going to also have to pay the tax that team wants to draft a quarterback, and I think the Vikings may actually do so because Darren Wolfson had this to say on Score North. He says, of the 3, of Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, and J.J. McCarthy, my sense is the Vikings have pretty strong, good opinions on all 3. Now I'd understand it if Maye is the clear-cut number 1 of these 3, and I totally agree with with the Vikings brass and Vikings front office if Drake Maye is their number 1 guy, because I do think he has that Josh Allen, he has that Justin Herbert potential, and with the support system Minnesota would offer that young player, I think he could really flourish and really see his pros be on display every single Sunday. But I want to go a little deeper here on Drake Maye. We show you guys a lot of his just basic stats, but I want to go into his advanced stats real quick. So adjusted completion percentage, it takes into consideration, drops and all that, and he had 71.5% this past season. Pretty good. ADOT, if you guys don't know what that is, that's average depth of target on all of his throws, which was at 11 yards, which is pretty damn solid. Big time throw rate was at 7.7%, which was 2nd in his class behind Jayden Daniels. Turnover worthy play rate, 1.9. It's okay. It was about middle of the pack in college football last season, but again, he had to put, that North Carolina team on his back, so I don't really put too much stock in that. And then his offensive line, it was a little shaky last year, and he only had an average time to throw of 2.79 seconds. But we dove into this scouting report on a video early on this week, but I kind of just wanted to re-give you guys my thoughts here. So the biggest pro about him, touch every blade of grass on a football field, big-time arm. He truly is like that Justin Herbert type of build. I hate using that comparison because I feel like every guy has that comparison for Drake Maye, but a con he has. He's got happy feet in the pocket. Excuse me. His pocket presence isn't necessarily the best, and he's a big pat the football guy. If you guys remember when Kirk first got here to Minnesota, Kirk would just sit in the pocket going like that, and it did get him into some trouble, but also big-time pro. He's got great mobility. He reminds me similar to a Josh Allen type of runner without that kind of physical run over the dude style, but he's similar in a way where he can break arm tackles from smaller DBs very easily. Another con he has, he's got a slower release. He's kind of got a wind-up, which, I'm not going to look too much into, but, obviously, the game speeds up in the NFL, and with that release being slower, that's definitely could be a concern for him moving forward, but kind of speaks to the mobility. I mean, he's 6'4", got really good size on him, and you could just tell by his frame that he's really going to fill out well. But if this is the trade that goes down for the Minnesota Vikings, trading up with the Commanders, I just got to ask you guys, man, would you do this deal? Would you give up 11, 23, a 5th-round pick, a additional 1st-round pick, and then a additional 2025 3rd-round pick? Let me know if you guys would do it. This would be an all-in move for Minnesota. But again, you would be getting Drake Maye. And if he ends up turning out to be Justin Herbert, I promise you, none of us will be concerned with the draft capital we gave up. But give me an A for accept or give me a D for decline. Second trade we're diving into today, the J.J. McCarthy trade. And I had to do it with his college coach, Jim Harbaugh, with the Los Angeles Chargers. And it's pretty simple. It's just the Vikings giving up 11 and 23, and then they get the 5th pick in this year's draft. I think the Chargers got a lot of holes on their roster. I mean, their best receiver right now is Josh Palmer, which obviously I don't think that's going to be the case heading into the season. So maybe Los Angeles, maybe they go the route of, they want to, get 2 really good players in this draft instead of getting 1 great one. That's why I think this trade makes a lot of sense for both teams. But, overall, I think the Vikings have 2 options here. You either go all in and give all the 1st-round picks and all the extra draft capital you have if you really do believe that Drake Maye is the guy, or you go the route where you just give up 11 and you just give up 23 and you go draft J.J. McCarthy. I'm down with either of these. If either of these trades goes down, I'm throwing a party here on the channel. I think they would both work out. And the thing is with J.J. McCarthy, I do think he would need to sit for a year behind Sam Darnold. The biggest reason why I love J.J. McCarthy is because he legitimately just turned 21 years old this past January. And if we look at other quarterbacks in the league who have sat for at least a year, hey, shout out to the Packers. Hey, giving them love, but man, they have done that quarterback thing right over the last 40 years, it feels like. They had Aaron Rodgers sit behind Favre, and then Jordan Love sat behind Rodgers, and those 2 are obviously both franchise quarterbacks. Maybe jury's still out on Jordan Love, but I thought he looked really good down the second half of the year. And then also, possibly, in my opinion, I'll say this, Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time. Listen, Patrick Mahomes, he sat behind Alex Smith for a year. He's special. I mean, the dude's going to probably 3-peat this next season. So I definitely think there is some, there's benefits to sitting a quarterback. Obviously, us as fans, we want to see that guy out there right away. But I think just letting him kind of take in the NFL a little bit for a year. And my biggest argument on why drafting J.J. McCarthy is he is 21 years old. Jayden Daniels is 23. Bo Nix, Penix, they're both 23 as well. Could you imagine what J.J. McCarthy is when he's 23 after sitting maybe 1 or 2 years behind a Sam Darnold? I think it would work out. But third trade here, the most realistic trade here on the channel. And this was thrown out there by Bleacher Report when they were talking about the Cardinals being open to trading down. And if I had to put money on a trade happening now before draft night, it is 100% going to be the Vikings and Cardinals making this deal. Listen, the Cardinals, you're going to get 11 or you're going to have to give up 11 and 23 here. And then the Vikings would also be getting a 6th-round pick, but you would be getting, obviously, you would be getting a big-time move here. And, listen, my whole take is, you don't want to risk it. If the Vikings want J.J. McCarthy, don't risk someone jumping you. I really do think, like, at the Vikings, if they want to go all in on J.J. McCarthy, I think, you're going to have to go up and get the 4 because somebody might be trying to get the 4 if you go get the 5. So, I definitely do think that if the Vikings want to go get him, you're going to have to go up and get up at 4 because you don't want to risk like Denver or Las Vegas trading up and jumping to. But I do want to get to the Caleb Williams trade idea here it's a Vikings and Bears trade. And listen, this would be a blockbuster, and I'll say this trade is not going to happen, but I do just want to talk about the Vikings potentially getting Caleb Williams. So the Vikings will obviously get the number 1 overall pick in the draft class, but this would be the overwhelming offer that they would have to send to Chicago. Again, this is not happening. That's why we haven't talked about it on the show really ever, but I wanted to kind of have some fun here as they would be giving up a 2024 first-round pick, obviously, both the 11 and 23, then a 5th, and then you also have to give up 2 more first, and then also a 3rd-round pick on top of that, so a total of 4 first and an additional 3rd and 5th. Again, probably not going to happen, but I wanted to talk about it, and it gets me to this point. What if Caleb Williams just randomly one of these days? We know he's kind of a firecracker. He's got some mojo to him. He's kind of this like loose kind of cannon. And what if he just says, screw it, I'm not going to Chicago. And he pulls an Eli Manning. And he says, I am not going there. You trade that pick or else I will not play for your team. Well, RG3 had the same thoughts, and this is what he had to say on Caleb Williams. He said, Caleb Williams should pull an Eli Manning and demand the Chicago Bears do not draft him number 1 overall. after everything that has happened with Justin Fields, can Caleb Williams really look at that and say, this is an organization that my best interest in heart, and they're going to help develop me? And all I gotta say, RG3, I thought that was an awful take, man. I actually do love you when you're, talking on camera and everything. I think you're great, but this is one of the worst takes I've heard because, if you look at what the Bears have done, they have completely put a great roster around Caleb Williams. Obviously when we think of like a team drafting number 1 overall, we think they're a 2-3 win team. No, the Bears got lucky as hell with getting the Carolina Panthers pick, and they were a 7-win ball club. And they got dogs on defense, in Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson. They still got Tremaine Edmonds. And then you got 2 elite receivers in DJ Moore, Caleb Williams. You got Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones, 2 really, really great tackles at that spot. And, Caleb Williams is probably walking into, if it's not the Vikings, the best support system for a rookie quarterback. And it gets me to this point. Let's just say he even says that. Let's just say Caleb Williams says, trade that pick. I'm not coming to Chicago. The Vikings could offer the Bears 10 first-round picks, and I really do believe they would not trade him. I just think the Bears, they'll be just idiotic of them, and they would just probably be, kicking themselves every single night if that was the case. I mean, could you imagine, the Bears had to play Caleb 2 times per year? So I think it's incredibly unlikely. Just kind of wanted to talk about it because RG3 threw out that kind of bogus report. But I need you guys to predict it for me to round out today's show. Who will the Vikings draft? Let me know who it will be down in the comments section. J.J. McCarthy is the overwhelming favorite according to the bookmakers out west. I'm probably going to be typing J.J. McCarthy on this video, but maybe you disagree. Maybe you think it's Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, or another wild card. Let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, guys, just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting the show. The support on the channel has been unreal as of lately, and I really do appreciate it because it just keeps me motivated here at work, and I just love covering this football team. So if you guys haven't already and want another go-to Vikings YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Help us reach 24K here on the channel. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikings.